You want to play, Grace?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait.
You guys all playing?
Would it be okay if I talk? I don't mean to interrupt you. Would it be okay? Just because I came here yesterday, they were supposed to be set up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can all.
If you don't have time, you can go.
Or what are you saying? Sam, right?
I wanted to just have a little chat real quick.
Yeah, you mean to do it?
I talked with you on Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I came out on Wednesday because I thought you were going to...
I know, I'm sorry. We were here and
Yeah, so-
I couldn't get the key to the locker and
so you have
we
a
had
car,
to
right?
cancel
It
it.
says equip on it or
Yep,
something?
yep.
Could I get that?
Yeah.
Because I lost track of that. So...
Here, I'll give you a couple of them. Different things.
Game.
It's a game. It's an epistemology game.
Okay. What does that mean?
Epistemology is the theory of knowledge, how we know what we know. So it's a, I've been calling it a, I've been calling it everything,
Thought experiment.
thought experiment. Basically, yeah, agree. What's that?
Reason and logic and that.
Yeah, an epistemology, basically the thing is you say what you think on whatever the topic happens to be, and then I ask you why.
Yeah.
Why do you believe that? That's where the epistemology part comes in.
Okay. You've made a statement, so I don't have to agree with that. I'm going to make a statement, and you're going to agree with me or no?
Nope. The statement is
made a statement.
abortion is not health care.
Okay.
We should put quotations or something around that.
Okay.
And then you'll stand, if you play, what you think.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you why. And we'll go back and forth a little bit for a few minutes. Discussion.
Is this a statement anyone's actually made? Is anybody standing behind the statement other than that board? Are you standing behind that statement?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? I wrote it on there. Well, Adam wrote it on.
It seems to me, I don't understand the statement because it's ridiculous to me.
Oh, okay.
On the face, prima facie, it's like,
okay.
I don't think I'm saying it right. So I'm wondering who's making that statement because I want to talk to that person.
Oh, well.
I'd like to epistemologize them.
Well, we could also do that. Right now,
stand up for a similar statement.
Yeah.
That I could just chat with.
There will probably be somebody who stands here.
Yeah.
Are you
part of the game?
I would stand strongly.
You're on a not help. You agree with this?
I agree that it's not healthy.
Let me pull it back then.
Well, let's play the
Sorry,
game.
I called it ridiculous. I'm calling the statement ridiculous. Okay, not you. So good. Okay, let's have a chat.
Okay,
I'm
great.
glad it's you too because I'm sitting here and I'm wondering what opinion I need to have on someone's rights who are not me. I will never experience what someone who has a child or is capable.
Well, you're jumping ahead of it. If you want to play.
I think it's before. It's prefaced. So when I have this discussion,
Yeah.
my opinion doesn't matter too much. I'm never going to face that challenge personally.
Well,
Never.
let's.
Hold on.
Okay.
Because I'm going to
Wait,
have a discussion.
stand in unsure.
I'm Sam, by the way.
We'll start that way.
Okay. Would we start in unsure?
You're starting in unsure,
We'll start in
just for the
So
sake of the
I
game.
believe this is. I'll just get to the end. I think it's clear that if a child is a.
Did you want to play too?
You could call a child, a fetus,
Participate?
an embryo,
Yeah.
a grown
All right.
human. If that human maybe is causing a threat to another existing human life, who maybe has other children who depend on her, who has a community who depends on that woman, I think you have to make a tough decision. I don't think it's easy. I think it does involve life. But I think God, in the Bible, there are many situations where God ordered the unnecessary and ultimate destruction of babies, of communities. Living babies. The firstborn of Egypt, what did they do? So I think this comes from a statement of the Bible. That's what I assume. So that's my feeling. It's very strong, but yeah.
Do you want to play?
Yeah, I strongly disagree.
Okay, you don't want to stand over there?
I went from I went.
If
over,
you,
it's okay.
it would make this much simpler, just so far as this concerned.
Agree. Okay, and now I'll stop talking.
Well, okay. All right, everyone, go back to unsure for a second, for the sake of our game. I know that you were there. That's fine. Whatever. You want to play, Zach? Well, you didn't do this statement. If you want to play.
It is people's lives, and we're talking about it quite flippantly.
Well, it depends how you talk about it, whether it's flippant or not. Most people haven't been flippant. Most people have been very serious.
Epistemology game. Okay.
Yep.
So-
You can call it an exercise. You can call it what you want. Zach
I'd like to call it
or Chris?
separation
No.
of church and state.
It's okay.
Do you want to play?
But people have
All right.
strong feelings on however you believe, right? So
Well, part of the
still over there.
and part of the game, the exercise, is the why you believe what you believe. So that's the epistemology part. Do you want to participate again? Is it Zach?
It's Seth.
Seth, sorry.
Ma'am.
Do you want to
No, thanks.
jump in? Okay. Well, if you want to jump in, jump in.
But
But
what is your opinion on it?
well, hold
Are we
on.
gonna, I think
We're gonna do it.
So they're making it.
If you want to participate, it would be much.
Let you talk.
It would be much more helpful if you want to participate. It will just be harder going back and forth to the sidelines. So feel free. I would love for you to participate. If you have beliefs about it, then you can say what those are. Okay. So only you three. You two don't want to play. Seth, you were here briefly. You could finish it.
I can't stand, but I'm playing.
Okay.
I'm over there.
You're going to be strongly disagree.
Strongly. That's it. That's
Do you
an
want
all or nothing statement, and those most of the time are not good statements.
Do you want to put your chair over there? Just.
I can stand
I'm
over
fine.
here for you.
I don't need to be.
Okay. All right. All right. What's your guys' names? It's
Grace.
Grace.
Natalia.
Natalia.
Nick.
Nick. Okay. So here's the situation is you will pick a spot, whatever you believe about the position. Your response to abortion is not healthcare, and then I'll ask you why you think that, and we'll discuss a little bit. Make sense? So first, we've already jumped ahead of the game a little bit, but that's all right. You decide where you're going to go, so you're not influenced by other people's positions as much as possible, and then we'll talk. Make sense? Okay. Ready to go. That's all right. Everyone knew where they're going anyway. So strongly agree, agree, and strongly disagree. Natalia? Natalia. Sorry, I forget names sometimes. Okay, let's just start over here since I'm over here. Natalia, why do you personally strongly disagree with the statement abortion is not healthcare?
Because it should be, considering that men. Okay, let me roll it back here. So, do you have any children?
I do.
How old are they? Do you have any daughters?
I have 3 daughters.
3 daughters.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you look pretty young, so they're probably within young age.
They're young. Yeah, they're less than 5.
So imagine, God forbid, the worst imaginable thing happens to them. You as a father, and you're forced. How old is your oldest daughter?
She is 4.
4? Okay, she's not.
Or she's
even
5. She's 4 or 5. Forget
Or
it.
is she 5? Okay.
She's 4.
So she turns 10 at some point. Okay.
Yep.
The worst imaginable thing happens. So you either have to deal with your 10-year-old daughter going through the bodily trauma, mental trauma of having a child at such a young age. Okay. Now, I'm assuming that this is all going through a church. Like, this is all set up by a church, considering the card.
There is a church, yes, behind there. That part's more or less irrelevant, but yeah, it's Equip Ministries. It's a Christian college ministry out of First Baptist Church. Yeah.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with what's going on here. Like,
Oh,
neither of you guys are involved with that?
Oh no, we are. I'm just saying in terms of the exercise, that part may or may not be relevant. Just depends on your the participants, especially perspective.
Okay.
But anyway, so abortion's not healthcare. You strongly disagree with that. You were saying about why?
It should be.
Why?
Because of the fact that you can have the worst things imaginable happen to you. You could have a child being raped at the age of 10. What are you going to have them do? Have a child at that age? That is not healthy for a 10-year-old woman developing. Their womb is still not even to the point where it can handle a child.
Okay.
And people consider saying that that abortion, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, it was for the matter of fact that people are overusing it a little bit too much.
Overusing what? Sorry.
Abortion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When in the end, a majority of the time, statistically speaking, it was used for pure medical reasons, such as the child would have not made it to term, the mother would have not made it past birth. So now with that being taken away in multiple states, not including South Dakota where we are, what are you going to do then? Why are you going to get a prison sentence?
Well, I don't know if that's happening necessarily, but if I can summarize
Texas.
your first point, maybe if you would agree is most specifically with it not being healthcare, you would say something like, if it's really early on that a child, 10-year-old for instance, goes through pregnancy, it would be really, really hard on her physically, and therefore
It'll be hard on any woman. Let me rephrase that. It'll be hard on any woman for that.
Sure.
I have a friend who is 16 years old. She's currently pregnant, and because of the fact that in her state, I'm not going to say what state it is, she cannot get an abortion. She has a 95% chance of dying during childbirth because of the fact that she cannot get an abortion in her state. She does not have enough money to leave the state to do it.
Okay.
She was raped, and yeah. Kirsten now has a very little chance of living past childbirth, though her child may make it.
Okay, so basically your reason there, at least the first one, is just the potential really difficult strain and everything that goes through with pregnancy and birth, that you could avoid that with abortion. Is that fair?
You can avoid it.
Okay, we'll come back. All right, I think if I summarize that well. Sorry, what's your name again? Nick, sorry Nick. You agree that it's not healthcare, why?
I believe that life begins at conception. The moment the sperm and the egg combine, they meet all the requirements of life. And it does. The only reason I'm not as strongly agree is because there are situations that are extremely hairy. You get something like an ectopic pregnancy that's technically an abortion, but there's no way that the baby or the mother could survive. Or you get a situation where there's something wrong developmentally with the baby, and the mother develops something like Muir syndrome, and they are dying. They go into multiple organ failure or something, and you're risking huge on both lives, or for sure one of the lives. But beyond that, two wrongs don't make a right. So you can't just take a life just because of something horribly happening. Yes, it's horribly sad that somebody would be assaulted or raped, but you can't just say, no, we're going to kill the baby because I don't want to handle this. And many abortions come from the people not wanting to. Natalia said that it's so many times medical. There is a culture that for casual sex and whatnot, that people don't respect that, and they're willing to risk that chance because of abortion. And because of that, it causes that increase. Whether that's 50% or 30%, there still is that, and that can create those issues. And there are topics of discussion, questions like, well, if you went to sleep and you woke up the next day and somebody was hooked next to you with an IV and that was their life support, could you unplug that IV? And oftentimes with sex and abortion, you have to realize the consequences of having sex, and you are willing to make that risk of plugging that IV into yourself, per se. Okay. If I can summarize really quickly, it seems like the only thing that keeps you from strongly agreeing is examples in which the two examples you gave were the actual death of the mother that's involved, correct? Or both. Or both, sure. So the actual, which is the other point, you're in agreement because you believe an unborn human is in fact an unborn human. It's a developing child, and that abortion is killing that child. And you're only not and strongly agree because there's examples where what you're dealing with is the death of both or either. Well, both in that case. Ectopic pregnancies will kill the mother and the baby implanted in the fallopian tubes. If you were to remove, and I'll come to you guys in just a sec, if you were to remove if you were to remove those two examples, would you be on strongly agree? If I were to remove those examples, if you didn't call those abortion, let's say, you'd be on strongly agree. Interesting. Okay. We'll get to you, Andrick. Grace, why are you on strongly agree? Abortion is not healthcare.
Okay, well, I completely think abortion is wrong. And abortion is murder, and you're murdering a person. And in the cases of rape, you're still killing someone. I would say that there's a argument for the life of the mother because that's self-defense. If someone's coming at you to hurt you, and the way to save yourself is to kill them, that's self-defense. But you're still killing a person, and that's what I believe abortion would be. Okay. That being, and especially a minor. Just generally, because once you turn 18, you're an adult. So once you become an adult, that's a different story, I think. Okay. But especially when we're talking about kids, that. But I strongly disagree, or strongly agree with abortion is not healthcare. Yeah. Because legally, you're still killing someone. It's not healthcare in the sense that it's not someone. It shouldn't be paid for by insurance or the government or whatever. So that's why I stand on strongly agree for the not healthcare. Okay. All right. Basically the same argument, I think.
between you two. You're ending the life of another person, and ending life is not caring for their health. Would that be fair? At least as a broad summary. Andrick, what would you say? You strongly agree?
Yeah.
Abortion is not healthcare. Why?
Abortion is not healthcare. Like they said, it's
we'll come
simply
back.
it ends a life.
Okay.
That's whether you are a religious belief on conception or a scientific belief on conception. I hold both. The religious simply because it's a beautiful thing that occurs, and scientific it's unique human DNA.
Okay.
That's the way I view it from a scientific standpoint,
Okay.
and that allows me to remove religion from it, because when religion gets brought into it, a lot of people instantly say, hey, wait a minute, you have preconceived notions with religion. Your argument is now invalid because I don't believe what you believe, therefore it will never cross a bridge. So I have that, I don't want to say that scientific arrow in my quiver, but it's something that I use to bridge a gap between, someone who may be atheist or agnostic,
Sure.
debating, for abortion. It's a life that you're ending. Now, ectopic pregnancies, things that will 100% kill the mother, I don't see those as abortion. I see that as medical intervention. You've got an infection, you're supposed to have your hand gets infected, you have to cut off your hand. That's medical intervention. It doesn't and if you bring up the idea of health defects in the fetal development, I personally have health defects. Does that diminish my right to live? There are people who are existing now in this world because their mother was unfortunately raped. Should we go just kill that person right now because their existence is unjustified? Two wrongs do not make a right. And abortion itself, the process is traumatic. You've been raped, you are pregnant now because of that. That is traumatic. Why burden yourself with two traumas when it could just be one, regardless of how horrible it is? One trauma, if you ask me, is better than two.
Okay, that's helpful. There's a number of points there, but maybe the one that I'll have you respond to what you think, Natalia. Oh, by the way, I didn't say this again. You're free and encouraged to move if you hear something that would persuade you. The idea being there, you want to believe what's true and be open to being persuaded on either side. If I can summarize very briefly, it seems like essentially the same argument, but with a slight specific addition of saying that it is a value distinction. So there is a religious backing there somewhere, but seems like your baseline there, Andrick, is to say we protect human life, especially at least when it comes to the womb, let's say. It's human, and therefore we're going to draw the line at human. Don't kill human. It's a unique set of DNA, which is true. It's a whole different chromosomal situation. We shouldn't kill because killing is not health care. Fair enough?
Yes.
Natalia, what do you think? Any thoughts there?
First question,
Yeah.
am I allowed to cuss? Minor cussing.
Well, preferably not.
Can you bleep it out?
I mean, we could, but
Okay.
if you're having to plan to cuss, then I would say don't plan to cuss.
I'd rather just ask.
What do you think in response to that?
Huh? Well, no, it's not going to be that. No, okay.
Well,
I'm just going to disregard your religious statement because I'm an asshole like that. Just bleep that out later on.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
However, my scientific argument.
Yeah, and okay. So first I want to start with you. I'm going to try and go around in a little thing here. So you say that you think that life starts at conception. Scientifically, it does not. You can think that. That's great.
Why do you say that? What do you mean it doesn't start at conception?
Medically, it does not. When you have a life, it either starts with heart and or brain. I'm sorry, when my boyfriend nuts in me and when I get close to that pregnancy, right at that moment that his sperm hits my egg, that is not life. That is, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and throw up in the morning. Until it hits, I'm not sure the exact amount of weeks. What is it, 9, 10 weeks around there?
Heartbeat starts at around 6 weeks.
6 weeks, cool. So before that 6 weeks, there is no life inside of me.
What makes for you then the heart beating is the beginning of human life? Why do you think that, Natalia?
So with that being said, you can say that, I don't know how to put it. So you mentioned, for example, I'm going to use what you said as an example. You have birth defects.
Yes.
And that does not mean that you need to be killed. But you are also a grown man. You are a whole-ass grown person.
I started somewhere, though.
You started somewhere. Now, the thing is, would you have known if you were killed?
No, I wouldn't have.
Would you have known? Would your mom and dad perhaps, if there was a bad experience, so now I'm just speaking not for you in particular, would they have had to go through a struggle if they really didn't want to? Should a mother and a father be forced to take care of a disabled child
Yes.
if they don't want
You
to?
consent to
Yes.
sex. You consent to pregnancy.
If you consent to
That's not
sex,
how that
And that's
works.
Here's
let me.
one major thing that
Hold
I'd
on,
like
Seth.
to deconstruct about that.
All right.
The
We'll-
way that
we'll come back to you in a
this is
second.
a very traditionalist and conservative view on the family. The family is supposed to be a unit between a mother and a father, and the unconditional love they have for their children that they end up creating and rearing. That
Hold on. We're not. We'll let me finish his thought.
Come over here.
that,
Come over here, sir.
that unconditional love will push you to do whatever you can in your capacity to make sure that child is cared for, survives, and grows up in a healthy manner, whether that's surgical intervention, letting them live their best life for as long as they can, or any example of a number of things, because like there are these horrible situations where someone is born and they appear healthy but they have something that will kill them within hours. The mother and father will care for that child for as long as it is alive, and once that child dies, they view it as one of the most tragic events in their life. Whether or not you view that life as precious at a certain point in the womb, that's fine. Whether or not the parents should remove that life because it has a defect that they can see, I believe that is wrong. That is murdering someone simply because they might be inconvenient. I've been a huge inconvenience to my parents and their health care plan. I've taken out way more money than they've put in. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm a human being who has the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I have the right to life. I am living. I have liberty. I live in America, and I'm pursuing happiness here at this university. And that being stopped simply because it's inconvenient to bring me to the hospital every year, that's not right in my mind.
Let me.
People who don't want to choose life.
Well, let me bring it.
For those people, I just want to ask you quickly, for the people who don't want to choose life every day, is it your decision to keep those people alive?
No.
Is it our decision to keep those people alive?
No, it's their
so
decision
then
on
why?
whether or not they
So
want
then,
to kill
so then, let me ask you something. Your statement you said about your family thing between a mom and a pa raising a child, giving them this happiness.
Yes.
Like, what's the point of it all? Like, why are you getting to choose that? Like, why is that? Why does that have to be the precedent for everybody else living in this country?
Because life is precious.
Well, let me.
Is it precious though?
So let's start there.
To you,
Seth.
because that's your
Should be
core.
pre-
Because that's your core belief, right?
Is your life
Well,
Is
okay,
it?
hold on.
I'm asking you.
Hold on.
Maybe it's not precious.
So this
It's
is. We want to talk about this, guys.
Might want to get some help.
Seth, if you want to play, you're only slightly disagreeing right now. Are you disagreeing or strongly disagreeing? You're strongly disagreeing. Okay, I want to come back to Natalia because you're both sort of interrupting her in one sense.
Now we get to choose though. Now
the
now
life-
we're getting to choose for other people how they live.
Well, hold on.
The way they should live and what they should do and
No,
why
I'm
they
not
should
saying-
live.
Seth has been converted to strongly agreeing at the
I'm
moment.
not saying
I don't think so.
I'm not saying you're
Natalia, so what they said,
the way that your situation was brought.
Andrew.
You're forcing other people to live.
Excuse you?
You're forcing other people to live.
So the question, I want to bring it.
You got snap.
I want to bring it back. Do you guys want to jump in? You can jump in halfway. That's fine. Well, you could be in the way. That's unfortunate, but we're having people actually try and converse and discuss the issue. Well,
How many
on
men
whether
are with this
women
group?
get to
well,
This is based
you would agree with
this is
Natalia.
based off of Christian theology.
Well,
Our views are based off of Christian theology.
The basis of like the argument that between relativism and universalism. Like as Christians, we have foundational.
Hold on.
As Christians,
As Christians,
Well,
as Christians, but we're not all Christians.
Did you know that in Judaism, they actually, if
This is divulged.
going to harm a woman, she has to have an abortion.
We choose
It's a
the
sin
mom.
otherwise.
In Judaism is what she's saying. We choose the mom. It's the mom. We choose life.
I'm not choosing the mom.
Yes, you are. You're choosing a child. Yes, you are.
What's-
No. I'm just going to tell you what you're doing. What you're doing is the same thing that the Roman Catholics did, is forcing your belief onto other people. This country is built off of Christianity and the golden rule and this and that. Instead of allowing people, like we said that they could do, to choose what to do with their bodies behind closed doors. It's not your right to step into somebody's medical doctor's office and say, no, you don't get to do that. That's not your choice.
Can I hold on?
Religion also.
Hold on. Can I say what actually was happening? One thing that was happening is there was actual conversation between people that disagree very strongly, and they weren't. And just well, I know.
Because
You're taking away our rights.
Well, I'm not taking away rights.
Well,
You're fighting to go away, so you are
It is
nothing to
stifling. It
do
is
with
a form of
it.
stifling.
Well,
It is a form of taking away something.
I agree that there's stifling happening, but what I want to point out, the epistemological game or exercise that we're playing involves a person believing and saying it's an exercise.
But it's not about an exercise.
It is.
It's literally our lives.
So this is what's happening. This is what could be happening at the university. In fact, is that you hear someone what they think. You might agree with her, which is fine, and she gives her case, and then you hear someone respond in patience and kindness, and you listen and try to.
We are not.
Well,
Be kind and chill about this, but this
Yeah, but
is
no,
our
but look
lives.
at
Listen.
this is not a kind way of doing this. This is people ganging up with
No.
their Christian.
You're literally
This is
making a
grouping.
game show
This is
out
grouping
of
Christian
basic
people
human
together
rights.
who believe in Christianity.
They
and
were.
what they believe in.
No.
Arguing
No,
against
no.
somebody who has a different viewpoint.
It's grouping whoever happened to be walking from south to north. Actually, they just happened to say, "Sure, we'll play."
Not having healthcare access like this is a crime against humanity, and you're making a game show out of women's.
Well, it's not a show, but
Yes, it is.
what happened?
Post it somewhere on the internet.
Well, what we wanted to post is people having a discussion on different topics.
Where are you posting it?
Well, I'll show you. You can grab a QR code. But I just want to point out that what was happening. You guys, I mean, if you want to actually have real conversation, this isn't what's happening. I'm an alumni.
Doesn't fucking matter.
Get off of our campus. You're too old to be here. Like, literally, get out. What was
Is he
your
too old?
major? What was
Is
your
he too
major?
old?
This is our professor.
Yeah, well, is he too old?
No.
I don't think
just
that's the
you.
point. Guys,
Okay, what's your name?
so do you not want to actually talk? My name is Luke.
Luke.
Do you not actually
your
want to talk
last
about
name?
this? Perkins.
Luke Perkins.
Yes.
Thank you. What was your major here?
I was music education major.
And what makes you feel qualified to talk about
Well,
this?
I didn't say I was qualified. I happen to be the. Currently, that is
Do
true.
you have a certificate in conversation facilitation and cross-cultural?
No, I don't.
Okay, well then, what are you doing?
Well,
Out of your ass.
well,
Do you
maybe I
have any
am, but you
degree
wouldn't
in
know.
public policy?
We do know. Like, have
Absolutely.
you
Do you
read
know
any
No, you-
What do you fucking do
No,
if a
I'm
10-year-old
saying
gets pregnant from, like, assault?
Listen, I'm saying she doesn't know about how I talk or facilitate because you guys aren't interested in
Because
actually
you're trying
talking.
to talk about something that doesn't actually have anything to do with you. Show
Well,
me your uterus.
no, I think
Show
it
me
has
your
lots to
certificate
do,
in
but
facilitating conversation.
listen, well,
Show me why you deserve to be here.
well, I didn't argue I deserve to be here.
Alright, I'm gonna head out. Yeah, good to see you, dude. It's been real fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you,
Well-
you got class to go to?
No, I'm gonna go home.
That's where Alabama's wrong.
So, listen,
I haven't moved,
listen.
I'm just getting closer to be a more
That's all right.
conversation.
Oh, hey, careful, you're breaking the sign.
That's not
It's
an
all right.
abortion. That's medical intervention. The
That's what an abortion is.
no.
That's literally
Abortion
what an
is the
abortion
act of killing the baby.
Okay,
That's what it
let me come back.
Be alive to kill it. Like, it literally has to be. No, it's not alive until it
It has a
comes out the
heartbeat.
body.
It has a heartbeat.
Oh my fucking god.
It has its own unique.
Well, do you want to? We could actually talk. I mean, if you want to talk and discuss with
I
him,
don't
that's
want to
fine.
discuss whether people deserve to have bodily autonomy. Everybody
Right.
deserves to have bodily autonomy. This is not a discussion.
the baby. That's what I believe.
Okay, but there's no baby. It's not a baby until it comes out the body.
Okay, if that's what you believe, then you don't have to get an abortion.
No, but that's not what I believe that the baby inside of other.
There's no. It's not a baby. It's a fetus.
But let's.
Like, but
What is it?
Okay, if it's like 16 weeks, like, can that baby come out and live? Like, can that fetus, like, have life outside the body?
But I don't think that's what the definition of life is.
See, now listen. Now.
It's like talking
Here's what
to
we're
a
saying.
wall.
You don't have to get an abortion, but you have absolutely no right to make that decision for somebody else.
What?
And our constitution, our government is not there to provide rights for people or take them or to take rights away. They're only there to provide rights for people and cement our individuality, and that is what America is about, is freedom and giving rights. Like, we don't get rights from the government. It's not theirs to take them away. We intrinsically have them as individuals and human beings, so they cannot take that away from us. And if a person is then, what is it, an ectopic pregnancy, if they have an ectopic pregnancy, they can go to jail. Okay, that takes them off of voting. That is fascism at its very finest. It is gross. It is, and you are absolutely on the wrong team. If you accidentally lost your baby, you could go to jail and lose your right to vote to right, and that is what they're getting at. That is what they're trying to do, and they're really pushing that agenda right here.
But that's not what I believe.
Okay,
So
But what you believe
Come back.
shouldn't be part of what is
What I
lawful
believe
and not.
is wrong is killing another person.
Okay, so what happens if it is a 10-year-old who got raped by a trusted family member? There is a pregnancy. What do you do?
They are both kids. And
Oh
they
my
should
God,
both-
it's a child. How are you going to expect a child
Okay,
to have a child?
let me ask a question and you can answer it, if I may interrupt. Sorry, Grace. Do you believe, you had mentioned up to birth, do you believe a baby, an unborn child, 1 month before birth is a human being? That's a question. Is it a human
It doesn't matter
being?
what I believe, it matters what science says.
Well, okay, what do you believe science says
Whether or not
what's
it's a human
true?
being or not, because
Okay.
I literally,
A single coin.
No.
Somebody says, should I?
It is a human or isn't? What are you saying?
it's a fetus.
Okay, it's a fetus of what? That's a fetal stage of...
There are
Of what?
fetuses, there are clumps of cells
But is it a human
with
without a beating
genetic
heart?
spindles.
Well, hold on. She's talking though, Seth, so...
They're clumps of cells. They have like genetic spindles.
Okay, a month
and
before
everything.
birth, however, it's definitely not a clump of cells.
So
It's
we're
a...
debating now once.
Well,
you're
I'm
coming
asking-
over to our side and saying, well, maybe it's not necessarily a human being at the start, is what you're saying.
Well, no, I'm asking you what you believe a month before birth it is. That's what I'm asking. That's simple.
What is this going to?
Well, it's going to be on YouTube and whatever. If you walked up and
You're starting a
interrupted our
YouTube
thing.
channel at 40?
Cute.
So, do you believe it's a
It's a fetus.
human fetus?
It's a fetus.
What is
I
a
didn't
fetus?
say-
Yeah.
What is a fetus?
I'm trying to understand what.
Well, that's not true. I mean, scientifically.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
scoot.
Hey. And even at that, if you're arguing from a biblical sense, the Bible says that a human doesn't have a soul until it takes its first breath of life, and that is when God breathes the soul into it. So what are we debating?
Well, hold on. I
I
wasn't
went to
arguing
Catholic
that.
school. I literally grew up Catholic as fuck. My grandma was the principal. I went every Sunday. I studied day in, day out. I didn't have a choice. It says it. Have you read the book?
Listen.
Go home and
Hold on.
I grew up in a Christian.
What kind
I
of
don't know.
Christian?
A non-denominational. I'm not Catholic.
Do you have all the Bibles of the, or all the verses of the Bible? Because some of them take them out. Because they are deciding what goes in and what goes out. It is
That's
not-
I'm
that's
not
a different.
Catholic, if that's what you're asking. I'm not. I can read the Catholic Bible. That's not what I.
That is a different
Saying
discussion.
is they all come from the same book, and some of them have the verses taken out because they are selecting what they do and what they do not want to support. Are you
So,
aware of this?
Okay, but
It
when
is
I'm
not
asking you-
historically accurate, or even from that translated correctly. It is all ridiculous.
I agree with that.
Grace,
That's,
what do you believe the unborn a month before birth is?
I believe it's a human being and it's living. Okay. I believe
Okay.
it's because it's a human species and it's growing.
Okay, but it's going, but it's not there. Like, would you say a seed is a plant?
What do you mean
Like,
it's-
they're not the same thing.
What do you mean it's not there?
It's not outside the body yet, which means it's not a human being yet. Would you say a seed is the same thing as a plant? Like, would you say that like a little tiny sprout of a tomato plant is the same thing as a tomato? It's not. You can't.
Okay,
make
but
the comparison.
a month before birth, you're saying it's not a human being. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a fetus.
Okay, what is a fetus then? What do you think?
clump
Then?
A fetus is a clump of cells.
I mean, that's not true. I had a friend who had a baby a month early, 5 weeks early.
So I'm no. Okay.
Well,
so what?
I mean, the DNA, when you have an unborn child, it has a complete unique set of human DNA that, if left to itself,
So
will
would you say sperm
develop.
is also like a tiny little baby about to be born?
contains
No, because it does contain DNA, but from only one parent. It contains DNA from only the father,
no, like
and not,
legitimately,
and is when it enters into the egg, it starts reproducing the same set of DNA that it will have for its life.
You'd
Now,
get
I'm
labor
wondering,
if you're
I'm wondering.
pro-choice instead
Well,
of
listen.
birth.
I mean, if you're not actually interested in talking, we don't have to. That's fine. But
Well, I don't want to
the
talk
whole
with
point
your
of this
stipulations
exercise,
because I'm playing
they're
your
just
game, it's
questions.
not gonna actually get you anywhere.
what I'm simply asking is what you
It's
think
not
of.
an exercise. You're making a game out of basic fundamental human rights.
Well, I'm asking questions.
You don't even have
Okay,
one
okay,
of
but
these
what would
uteruses.
you do if you were sexually assaulted? Somehow you have a vagina.
Men don't get sexually
You are
assaulted.
That's not true.
you are forced.
Oh, you
That's not
white,
true.
you
To
poor
carry
cis
that body-
I'm trying to listen to your friend
You're
here.
forced to carry that to term.
Yeah.
You have to wreck your fucking body after getting sexually assaulted and
Yeah.
having your life ruined already.
Yeah.
And then push it out into the world and deal with it. For the rest of your life, you have a reminder of what this horrible thing was that happened to you.
Yeah.
How can you rationalize doing that to women? Adoption is not an option. Don't even talk
My
to me.
response to that though is because I believe that the rapist should be the one that should be punished. First of all, the rapist.
Are they doing that?
They should be
Every
punished.
conservative talking point talks about doing that, and
Do
none
you-
of them actually get to it.
Let's let.
Swimmers on campus have raped women repeatedly, and he got away with it. Full ride scholarship. The rape lab. We have two. There's big rape and little rape. And let me tell you what, if we were actually persecuting these rapists, we would not be naming the lads after.
Okay. Do you want to let her actually finish her thought? You just are interrupting.
Okay,
Grace.
what about what's going
I don't
on
need
in
your
practice?
condescending talk.
Okay.
Well, you're not listening.
I would say
Absolutely
I'm
not.
not
It's not
that
worth
rapists
listening
not
to.
being
Okay, well.
prosecuted is
She
a
has your
tragedy,
same
and it
views
needs
doesn't
to.
mean that they don't have the right to talk as well.
Well,
This is called
they've been
conversation.
talking.
Yeah,
Well,
they have been talking because you're wrong.
Yeah.
And you're obviously not very welcome here. So
well, ladies, what we started with was an actual conversation, and what it's divulged into is, oh, yes, it
You're
was.
talking rhetoric.
Well, I was asking questions, and
Bullshit.
yeah, I don't know if it's. I mean, if you want to finish your thought.
My
Okay,
body.
well, what I would say is that rapists should be prosecuted.
My
And
campus.
I would say
My
you should argue the
choice.
death penalty because that is a horrible thing. But the baby is not the one that raped
Okay,
the
but you know
mom.
how hard it is to actually prove that like sexual assault actually happened? Like there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of
Natalia, I apologize. Thanks for trying to play. I do appreciate it.
I had to
Even
make
if
the conversation
you did,
very
even if even if you disagreed or we disagreed, I really respect and appreciate you actually talking and listening. You listen to every single position. I'm not trying to patronize you. That's legitimately a hardcore missing element in our society. That's one reason we're doing this, is actually talking about things that, it's not Coke versus Pepsi, as I always say. Like, nobody really cares, even if they think they care or are passionate. So, this right here, thank you. Yeah, I mean, something anyways, like it, yeah.
Clean up, I help them.
Is it on your actions
What a sweetheart.
currently?
And I've only done it once. And like,
what was
I
the name of
haven't-
it?
Over your life.
It
Can I-
was called First Care or something like that. Like, I can see the logo in my head, but I can't remember the name
Give
of
me a
it.
couple
It's not
But
feeling
I-
legit to
this
me.
one because there's two
So
couple stages.
basically, what
One
we're
is
saying
that
is
God
that
has decided
we'd love it if before like making these decisions and voting next, would you like come volunteer at like one of the shelters, or like I got involved with a nonprofit, just like see what kind of help needs to be done with these women, take care of it, and like also before you go forward and like have a child, like shoot one out of your personally. Think about adopting, because the adoption and foster care system is completely overflooded. Everybody wants to say, well, just adopt it out. Our systems are overflooded. There are so many children that need homes. They need like homes and good food and.
But not even just that. Like, gay people are not really allowed to adopt in the state of South Dakota. They're making it purposely harder for queer people to adopt children. What are your thoughts on that?
I would say that a child, so first of all, parents do not have a right to a child. A child has a right to a mom and a dad. I would make that argument.
A mom and a dad, or two moms or two dads?
Mom and a dad.
Oh,
I'll stand by that.
Yeah.
So fascism.
you're
We're
also
back
a
to
fucking
fascism.
bigot.
What do you mean by that?
Fascism.
No, but what do you mean
Have you
when you
picked
tell
up
me
a
that?
book?
No, but
Well,
what do you mean when you
explain to
tell
her.
me
Maybe she hasn't.
Fascism.
What do you mean?
Is
Well, maybe she
where
shouldn't be here.
Did
She's
you-
never picked up a book
Yeah, wait,
before.
what's your
Well, I'm being
major again?
facetious.
I'm an art major.
A what?
An art major. I'm majoring in
Okay.
graphics
I
design.
deserve as a child
Really?
to be murdered.
Okay.
by
There's a lot of gay
So
people.
Sheesh.
fascism.
I'm not.
Fascism is where a government restricts like commingling of races, and they try and refine it down to like the Aryan race. Do you remember? Did you ever learn about what happened with the German people and the Jews? Maybe
That I did.
You did? That was fascism. That is what we're talking about getting towards here. If this sort of theology that you're trying to enforce in your political system keeps progressing, we will end up in a fascist government system, and that's terrible. You're going to kill people. You're literally already prosecuting people and preventing them from voting, and so it is not everybody's voice is getting heard. It is simply the ones that are following the rules that
Who am
other
I trying to
people.
prevent from vote?
Women.
fundamental.
Prevent them
You know
from
that
voting?
felons can't vote, and they're trying to make
An
abortion a
old man
felony.
got insulted, instead of laughing it off, he prayed to God
Abortion,
for a bear or a couple.
I would not
to
agree
murder
with that, straight out.
Okay, but that's exactly what's going on.
That's currently
Like, it
what
doesn't
is
matter.
And you
if
also
agree
think
with
that
it.
hetero people are better than
Do you agree?
gay people. You also believe that hetero people should have more rights
to be
than.
a woman and a
No, I
man.
don't. Yes, you just said it.
No, I don't.
You just said it.
It's
You
a po-
said
what's
that
supposed to be
queer couples shouldn't
the it's
be able
supposed
to.
to be. What's the
I
it?
also realize that
Yes,
in
you
nature,
did.
I
there are
said that a
many, many
child
animals
has a right
that
to a
are
mom and a dad,
homosexual.
and that's not.
I have heard that, yes.
will not
But what?
happen.
What's the
Literally,
it? You're
so
saying
many
it's supposed to
children
be.
out there that don't get
You know that flamingos are.
No, I know.
Why would
I
you
think
say
that's
that?
horrible.
No,
No,
I have heard that.
But I
Better
still
than-
think.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
I
have
don't
a
think that.
Are
I
you
don't
going to
think
adopt?
it's
Are you
not
planning
unnatural.
adopting?
Actually,
I myself am queer.
Okay.
not great.
What do you mean by queer?
I am
Okay,
pansexual.
so I
So
do
what
it
I'm
when
saying,
I'm
I am
an
attracted
adult.
to someone's
I-
personality rather than
Because I think their life is precious
parts
just
they
because
have.
I don't get along with
I'm
them.
attracted
Just
to their
because
personality.
Do you
I
actually like deeply
Okay.
care about children?
I do.
I just don't understand how you can be making the choices
I mean,
that you're making right now.
not really. I could ask
think
questions,
you're
but
being
I mean, we're way off track of the actual original conversation.
No, but this
But
is
you know,
a systematic issue. Like, this is not just like a one size fits all conversation, because there are so many factors that go into this.
well, here's what I think about how that works. Is that is true. I very much agree that there's lots of things that are connected. But what makes it possible to actually get anywhere in discussion is trying to narrow down and talk about one thing at a time.
Okay, but there are
So if
many
you just
things
ask-
under this
Guys,
one
I have to go.
umbrella
But-
topic.
Well, I do
Put
agree
your
with that.
arguments into this book. We literally don't subscribe to your book club, and there is a thing. It's separation of church and state.
I mean, I haven't mentioned the. You mean the Bible?
Thank you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow.
I mean, I haven't mentioned the Bible once. I don't know why you're
But
saying
what about
that,
the
but
Torah?
But you're alluding to it.
Like what about?
well-
Would you ever want that in our government system?
so far I've almost only asked you questions. But I mean,
What about the Torah? Like, it's literally like it is a sin to not get an abortion if you are going to be like, if you're gonna die. Like, if your life is in danger, if you are in like imminent danger in any type where your life could be in danger, it is a sin in the Torah to not get an abortion. And so are you saying that Jewish people should not have the right to exercise their religious liberty in order to get an abortion when they need one medically?
I mean, I haven't said any of that. No.
Okay, but you know,
And that would be
abortion is not healthcare. You know,
So that
she's
is the
talking about
statement.
Bible, like,
Yes, yeah, she was. Yep. What started was, if I can, is agree or disagree. And what I mean, I agree. I really do actually very strongly agree with you that there's lots of issues connected to it. That's true, I think. But also, what makes it possible to make any progress is you narrow it down. So where we started before, frankly, it was all interrupted. Just let me finish a second. Is
but
do
it's
you?
not about narrowing it down. Like, these
But
are all intertwined issues. Do you not understand?
Well, they
that?
are intertwined, but
Because religious liberty, gay people, like people of color, like abortions, because people of color have disproportionate less access to like high-paying jobs, to higher education, to all of these things, and so it makes it a lot harder for them to give a child a good life. Do you care about that?
Well, I care about those things, but do you see it makes it difficult to talk about one thing if you try to talk?
It's not just about, this is not just about one thing.
Well, I know, I agree, but what I'm saying is you can stop and pause. You have to. I mean, this is just how thinking works.
No, you're not going to tell me how thinking works when you can't form a critical thought.
Well, so far I'm just asking questions. I'm just saying, well, I'm making a statement right now, is that you have to be able to talk about one thing at a time while keeping in mind that there's lots of things. You can't keep it all in your head at one time. Not in discussion. So, for example, we were in the middle, almost back to Natalia, to ask, do you think the unborn is human life that you're killing? She made a case, she made her statement why she was strongly disagreeing. And then they made a case. It's not a game show. We call it a game. It's an epistemology game because we're recording it and we want to upload it. But just to say the point, because I do agree with you that they're connected.
Out of women's healthcare, women's basic fundamental human rights.
I mean, I'm trying to have a conversation with your friend.
Do you have a uterus?
Do you, I mean, she's interrupting, we're trying to talk.
Oh no, she can interrupt.
Well, I didn't want to
Discussing the rights
interrupt.
of women. You could just give them a second to talk. That's all you can.
Well,
just give them a second.
we have. I'm trying to
I tried to have a
respond.
conversation with a
What's
woman.
your
You
name
kept
again?
interrupting.
I'm
and I was
trying
gonna
to
let her speak, and I
respond
was-
is all.
No, I'm giving you feedback on your game show.
Well, thank you.
You're a little defensive, and
I
I'm
think it's a
aggressive
little
because you're a people
Well.
that I don't know, but
I'm simply saying it is, we started very well with actual
I
discussion.
think it's a little ironic though how it's only men that are here setting this up and there's no
Well.
women. Because if there were women here, maybe they would maybe shut you down.
Well, Grace was here and she was strongly agreeing.
The one.
Well, the one at the moment. Well, part of the point here is, ladies, we want to actually be able. These two are actually discussing. Do you realize that they're talking?
You just assume so much shit
Nick.
right there.
Nick was strongly agreeing. Natalia was strongly disagreeing. I just want to point out they're sitting. Yeah, I know. No, yeah, that's fine. But they have been discussing very, very politely. It seems to me.
Okay, but none of
I was trying
Stay
to respond to
polite
your
and calm
question.
At a time like this, when you're expecting us to do that, when our rights are being taken away,
Well, you just have
you can't do
to.
anything because you literally don't even have a uterus. This is not your topic.
Are you a cat? How do you know you're not a cat?
How do you know he doesn't identify as a woman?
But that is such a fucking dumb
Literally,
question.
that is also like could
How
be
can you
broken
define
down.
a cat since you're not a cat?
You're literally using straw man arguments to try and overpower her in conversation and makes you
logical
look fucking
fallacy.
dumb. It's the truth.
But anyways, so I just wanted to stop by to let you know that
Okay.
we don't really agree with you. And
I picked that up.
obviously, yeah.
I got
and
that
we don't-
flavor of that.
We don't
This
like
is
how
going
often
on.
you're here, and it's
Okay.
just it's not forcing your religious beliefs or your beliefs like on healthcare is
Okay.
not okay. When
Do you
don't
think we're
have the parts. I
Would
think
you say
it's-
we're forcing that? How? Why?
Because I heard that you were handing out books on abortion.
Mm-hmm.
That also had in the back stuff about transgender people. Like
So it is an all-inclusive
It is an
issue.
all-inclusive
No,
issue.
So it's an all-inclusive issue
Well,
when you're
I-
handing out your stupid little pamphlets.
Well, I agree, it's connected,
It's not
yeah.
an all-inclusive issue when we talk, like here right
No,
now, when
no.
I try to talk about the intricacies of the
Yeah.
systematic
It's just
inequalities that lead this to be a problem.
No, I told you, I agree,
The
it's
way
all
you
connected.
Stand here with your game show, the epistemology game, with your microphone and your video cameras.
Yeah.
Disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself and
Okay.
absolutely embarrassed.
Well, to your point,
Absolutely.
we're not forcing anything on anybody. If
Yes,
anyone
you
wants,
are, but you're
literally
parking yourself in
actually
one of the
talked
busiest
about
areas
one
on
of my
campus.
friends.
Class today.
I'm just.
Talked over one of my friends when you were talking to her.
You don't
and
believe-
handing her those books on abortion, and you forced them to her. She said that she said that she didn't want any, and you were like, "Oh, I didn't remember what you said," and just forced it on her. So I do believe that you are forcing it, and I don't like that you are on our campus constantly
So
talking about this.
you-
Just talking about this.
Yeah.
That isn't even. You're not even. A
You don't think we should talk about
If you aren't
with other
ashamed,
people
can I get
that
a
we disagree
picture
with?
you
Is that what you're
and
saying?
Sign?
I'm good.
Are you sure? Why?
Yeah.
Are you embarrassed?
I am not embarrassed.
I actually have
No,
a Facebook
we'll
group
put it
that's
on. It's all
3,000
on.
people deep and
Well,
growing.
All good.
We're trying to make uteruses great again. That's
Right.
what we're saying. And
Well-
I posted a video on there, and like this whole setup,
Yeah.
the girls are gonna be upset.
Well, to your
Real
point,
upset.
I-
expect
You
a
better
lot more
hope
of
that
us.
my
Yeah.
I
phone
like that
isn't
little
on South
fucking
Dakota
eye
State
roll when
University's campus.
when we say that women are upset
But
by
you're
this.
embarrassed. I just want a picture with you.
you got plenty of pictures. I am not
Well,
ashamed. There's a
but
video right
why are you
now.
posting it with your game show.
To your
Mr.
point,
Yeah.
if you're concerned about forcing
Epistemology
people,
game show. Ooh.
Oh, you're concerned about forcing people now that we want you
No,
to take
you're.
a photo?
No, she was. She was.
Because
Take a photo. Are you embarrassed?
you're trying to literally force women to give birth, carry babies to term when they might die doing it, or go to jail and lose their right to vote. You don't give a shit about forcing anybody to do anything because you don't care about consent. Like that is like the bottom line of this issue. None of you care about consent.
What's your name?
Well, that may or may not be true. It depends who actually participates. I'm not forcing anything. None of that you...
Nick, sweetie, it's okay. What's your name? What's your last name? What is your name? Are you embarrassed? Althena, be our back. I'm very proud of what I'm doing here.
I'm Nick Code. I'm proud of, having a conversation instead of having an argument.
You're breaking the agreement.
This is an argument.
No,
this is not just like a quirky little conversation.
This is our campus, and you guys, you're not even a student. You're some 40-year-old rando.
I'm an alumni. Does that not matter?
You're a music major.
I paid my dues.
In like a history book. You'd have to check the archives at the library to find you.
That wouldn't be true. You probably could.
Are you even from town?
I am. I went to school here. I live here.
Why don't you go protest
I pay taxes
in the
here.
streets there?
Well, I'm not protesting. We're actually trying to have a discussion.
A game.
It's not a show.
Literally it's a game.
It does say game.
Discussion on there. It says game.
Well, we could put discussion, but that's what it is.
So offensive.
Discussion
this
is
not
offensive.
A game.
Yeah.
No, that says game.
It does say game.
Leave it because we should string them up here embarrassed like that. Game show.
Well, it doesn't say show. It does say game.
It's going on your.
You could call it discussion or exercise. You can call it whatever you want.
Is it a discussion because you've started?
Well, right now it's not.
A hot button topic. You can't start at a buzzword. You need to find a different place to start from. Have you heard of like any sort of like interconversational skills? No, because you already told me you don't have any sort of certificate in facilitating conversation.
I don't have a certificate.
You also kind of put yourself here, man. So you complaining
You were on
that it's
our
not discussion.
campus.
You were on our campus.
Are you a
so
student
we have a
here?
right to talk about
Well,
it.
I wasn't complaining
Thank God.
when Natalia was patiently listening and sharing her perspective. It was a discussion.
So now
I'm not
you're
complaining.
saying Who's doing better in your
Well,
discussion?
she made the comment that it was rude for me to interrupt someone, and I agree. I do think that's very
They're
rude.
right. It is rude for you to interrupt someone.
I agree. I do think interrupting by and large is quite rude. So you can consider that if you want, as far as how conversations actually go, or how they should go. That's part of the goal here.
Protesting early on a Thursday morning.
Well, if you want to call this protesting, you can. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, in my absolute opinion, this is no beef to you. I
Yeah.
do feel like this is really close to a game show. Are you posting this to TikTok?
Mm-hmm. Well, not TikTok, maybe. I don't know. We're posting it to YouTube.
For YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you do need to realize that people our age, we grew up with social media. We have a different representation of what a game show is or what it can be.
Sure.
This is definitely what I would see on TikTok and be like, oh, hell yeah, this is definitely a fucking game show. Excuse my language.
Sure.
Whether you don't mean it to be, I do feel like bringing it up on a campus, you're definitely going to get heat about it. This is like
Oh,
the
that's
same,
fine.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, come on now.
Listen, I just gotta distribute
You want to call
it's
stealing?
really important.
I mean, if you want to steal, are they yours?
I'll give you your little clips back.
This is how they make you look like the crazy person.
Well, we're not doing anything. You're making your choices. You're also interrupting Natalia. Thank you for returning them.
Interrupting my day, so like, excuse me for coming over.
Sorry, Natalia.
no, I'm good. That's all that I really have to
Okay,
say.
well,
That is my-
whether you call it a game,
Assisted suicide.
You literally.
if you want to read it,
yourself. It says
Yeah.
game here. You're making
Well,
a game out of.
it's not making a game. It's an epistemology game.
Disgusting.
Do you know what epistemology means?
I don't care.
You don't care. Okay. Well, it does say game. I'm not apologizing.
Is pissing me off.
I'm not apologizing.
Is pissing me off.
I'm not apologizing.
Is pissing me off. Ology. Literally, I'm.
I have no issues with calling it a game. Thank you.
Well, you wrote game up here. Who did that?
I don't have an issue with calling it a
Who
game.
did that? Well,
I
It
did.
says game. You wrote game.
Yeah, I'm simply saying
You're
you have a.
calling this a game.
Well, you can call it whatever you
Human rights
want.
are a game to you.
If you have a problem calling it a
Human rights are
game,
to you. It is
false.
absolutely
No.
offensive. Well,
It says
why does
agree.
It, say game?
It says agree or disagree. It's an exercise. If you don't
It's not
like,
an exercise. You're calling
listen.
it a game.
If you don't like the word game, fine. I don't care.
You already wrote it up there.
Yeah, because I'm fine with it. You're not apparently, and that's fine. You call it an exercise. You can call it what you want.
Tell me your name one more time.
Luke.
Luke. What's your last name?
Luke Perkins.
Perkin.
That's right. It's an exercise. It's an epistemological game, which means discussion.
It's not a game. human rights are not a game.
That's not what epistemological
You
game
might think that
means.
as a white, straight, hetero,
Listen.
whatever man.
Listen, this
you're at
could
the top
be-
of the food chain. You're
Listen.
doing so much harm down the food chain. Do
Well-
you understand what's going on, and you're calling it?
Yeah.
It also
That's-
really
I'm
fucking bothers me
simply-
that you're using the struggles of people all across America for fucking content. Like,
Well,
it's really disgusting that you're
we're not.
tokenizing
Doing
this
it for
situation
views on
and you're
YouTube.
We're
doing
not.
it for views on YouTube. You are. This is
You're
what is this
standing there with a
then?
microphone.
Well-
If you weren't,
calling it a
if
game.
it wasn't for content and clout, then you
It
wouldn't
just-
have somebody filming. You would just be sitting here being annoying.
It just doesn't seem like-
Unfortunately, you're sitting here with a microphone
Yeah.
and a camera,
Yeah.
and you're talking all your shit, and you're doing your thing, and you're posting it to YouTube to do what? Make content, get clout, make some money?
Are you interested in an answer or just?
No, but do you
Okay.
benefit financially
it for
from
the
doing
money?
this shit?
Well, I'm wondering if you actually are interested in why we're doing it.
No, I'm
Is that a
interested in
rhetorical
whether
question?
you are making,
What's that?
whether
Is that
you
a
are
rhetorical
profiting from doing this.
You're asking that as
I'm
a question?
asking that to you.
Are you
Yes.
profiting
No.
after you call this your game? Your game.
Well, no, we're not
Can we
profiting.
agree that human rights are not a game?
If you're interested in me explaining what the word game
So
means, I will
can't
explain
agree
it.
that human rights are not a game.
If you're interested in me explaining what this
No, but
means,
it doesn't matter what
okay.
it means to you.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just like,
All right. Well,
it's not a game. Like,
listen, I would answer your
You can't call
question.
you can't write game on your board and talk
Well, we
about
can.
human right. Well, you can.
We
It's
can.
absolutely disgusting.
I'm disagreeing that that's what that means, but
What
you're
does
not.
game mean?
Are you actually asking? I will answer it.
Did it sound like I was asking?
It was a question mark, but she said she wasn't interested in the
Tell
question,
me what
the answer.
game means to you, please.
Game means, in this
Games.
context, epistemology is the study of knowledge. It's how we know what we know, the reasons we believe what we believe.
The
If you
study
have,
of knowledge. What does that have to do with human rights?
if you,
Is a human a human?
listen, I will answer your question, but your friend believed interrupting was
just want you to
very, very
leave.
rude. Well, I get that impression, but
I believe that interrupting my day and my schoolwork with these fascist beliefs and calling
Well.
human rights a game is absolutely disgusting, rude,
listen,
and you shouldn't be here.
I'm not
Even
calling
a
human
student.
rights a game. Okay?
okay, but you literally wrote it. How are you not calling human rights a game when it literally
Well.
says game right here?
Well, the word game is on there. That is correct. But if you want to interpret that to mean we believe human rights are a game,
Well, you wrote it.
that's not what it means. It's an epistemology game, which, if you want to use discussion as a better word for your comfort, that's fine. I don't care.
It's not about my comfort. This is about women, like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my bag and stuff. But yeah.
Okay, we'll probably do.
I just want to say it's not a belief that human rights are a game. It's
Okay,
an
then
action.
why'd you write game?
I'm literally telling you. It's
I
an
don't care, but you wrote it. You literally wrote it yourself.
well, I'm telling you why the
I
word
think
game
I-
is up
I think
there.
Can I?
I mean, are you an instructor, Sam, or a professor, instructor?
I am, yeah. But
So,
not now.
do you understand
Now I'm a
that
person. This
what
is
I
my personal thing.
well, I only ask because in the sense of in the classroom,
yeah.
when you want to have a discussion about important things,
Yeah.
you need to be open and able to interact, discuss, argue, be open to evidence, be open to
You should
persuasion.
record that and listen to it.
Yeah, well, that's what we were doing before
See, we're
things.
saying things and it's not processing. That's my point. Let me stand in the shade here.
Well, yeah, it gets hot.
Because what I meant was, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't know that you're following your own rules.
Well, we were trying before
So
we
that's,
got interrupted.
That's why I'm saying that. But that's okay. You don't have to be defensive, but just acknowledge it.
Oh,
right?
I'm
So
no
in our conversation,
defensive. It was just
it's hopefully more about listening to what their opinion on this is rather than anything else, right? And so maybe, what was your point about it? Because I didn't hear much about it, but
You
what
know,
was
he
your
has
point?
the word game up here. Like,
That's
this is like
okay,
some
yeah.
quirky
That
little
offended me
thing.
too, yeah.
I did not like that.
And so I
How about
maybe I'll
discussion?
say it a
If it
different
was
way.
the word discussion.
Discussion would be great, but also on the other
There you go.
there's a problem there too, because where are the women in this discussion?
Well, they were
Do you have
here.
any women in your group
They were here.
interview?
We over the
I
last
think
we've
that
done
would
this.
make it less
I mean,
aggressive.
Natalia's right there. There was another gal here.
Natalia's
There was
not
two
part of
before
your
that.
No, your group.
Oh,
Someone who
yeah.
could interview who might relate on a different level, right? Because this right we're talking about is not a right that I personally will ever experience. I can't have a baby. So it's a weird right, because it's a right that half of the population on statistical whatever will never deal with on the same level as this other subgroup. So if you want to learn, that's fine. If you want a discussion, that's fine.
That
But
is what we want.
It's not a game. These are people's lives, and this statement there, I think to people like me, I'll use me, is, I don't understand that statement. That doesn't compute as a real human statement. That's why when I walked up here, I asked you, who said that?
Yeah.
Who is standing behind that board? Because otherwise, we're playing a game.
Well,
We're not getting anywhere.
Well, like I said to them,
I want a statement on that board that you can stand behind, or I can stand behind, and then discuss it.
well, part of the
If I could jump in a little bit. My wife actually suggested this one.
Good.
So it is actually a woman's statement.
Yes, good. What I'd
helpful.
like to see, not necessarily wife, but if she did, was to have her involved. Have her have a discussion, just alone with people who come up, because you will get a different type of discussion depending on who's doing the interview, right? And somebody who can maybe think about how this might relate to them in the future might have a deeper discussion than I will with these women. I assume, sorry. And then I will with you, because you even have a different experience than mine, right?
Well,
so
sure.
involving. So what I'm saying is maybe we're not the right people to be asking this question or stating this thing or anything. It should be people who are actually maybe have a stake in it. Now, if you put something up there about liberty that I had a stake in, a personal stake in, then yeah, but that's why I was asking, like,
well, if I may,
it's not my right to debate other people's rights as if they don't exist in this world and they aren't talking to me right now.
well, with that last statement, I think I agree with. If I may just back up for 2 seconds, the idea that we're going for, that had been happening very well, is actual discussion. You'd have to maybe take my word for it.
Did you mean it went well until I got here?
No,
'Cause
well,
by that?
it might
I
maybe.
just want to stop on your words. Okay,
It may be
direct.
incidental.
You can be direct. Yeah, let's be direct.
Well, it may be, but it also was incidental. You weren't the only
you
one
can do
here.
it without being rude. It's fine.
No, it's fine. I mean, at least timing-wise,
Yeah.
it was the case.
I've
sure,
seen it
or
on
at least
YouTube,
close.
and I think I understand the point. But the statements they make on there, I feel, are less restrictive, right? The big problem I have with the law in South Dakota is that it's cruel to women in ways that we could talk about, but I'd start crying. And so to say that is something that, to me, behind that statement is murder of women. That's what that statement says to me, sir.
Well, and that would be...
No, I need you to process that statement.
Sure.
Because that's not a flippant statement.
Yeah.
That means murder.
Yeah.
To me.
Oh,
And
hey,
I know you have strong
in my
beliefs
bag,
about,
in the outer pocket.
an egg
Sorry.
being having maybe a soul or having some human sense, but to me, a woman who might have children who exist in the world, who might have a family, who might be a leader in the community, we lose her because of this? Because of somebody's principled belief from a book that was written by people maybe a few generations from cavemen. They said horrific things about women.
Can I give the two of the guys that were on Strongly Agree? Well, I can't remember if Nick was Strongly or not, but they're, it was Andrew. They actually, for one of the guys' reasons that he gave for why he was there, his only reason, I think, was he believes it's human life, biological, distinct genetic.
That's a good opinion to have.
Well, I'm just saying, just for your referencing there to religious past, scriptural text. For him, that wasn't his reason. And then they started discussing that, or we almost started discussing that. And so that would be an epistemological thing. So he believes it's not healthcare because what's happening is the destruction of that health, of that unborn human, he believes.
But what about
Well,
the
we
oath
could have,
to do no harm in healthcare? What about the oath to do no harm in healthcare?
Yeah.
Because if you restrict
they see it
abortion
as
as
harm to a
healthcare,
little baby.
like you literally
They don't
are
think,
doing harm to women everywhere.
So
and
he
that goes against medical code.
so he believes.
Also, I noticed you're shaking. You should take a break and calm your nerves.
Oh, I'm all right. So he believes the healthcare point that, or not. I mean, I was just to your question. Well, Nick, Natalia, sorry.
Yep.
Well, thank you. Natalia. Oh, sorry. Well, thank you. Yep.